Nan.
How
I
you
love
doing?
saying Nan. Can I just say that? You one day you just said to me, "You've always been Nancy," and then one day you said to me, "People call me Nan." I don't know what we were talking about. I was like, "Nan, it is." Hello.
Hello, Tara.
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too, my friend. What's new? Tell me the tea.
Oh, tea, 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 tea. There's lots of stuff. Okay, you know what? I want to say this. Starbucks has a new thing out. I'm going to talk about this now. If you follow me on TikTok, I did the actual TikTok. I'm sure Mel, who everyone knows is my Muggle bestie, literally is never going to forgive me for this. But I called her up, Nan, and I said, I'm not walking the dogs for 17 hours today. Let's go have a Sunday morning espresso and protein shake because that's how.
Hi.
And she was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I went and got her. We went down there. I was just happy to be with her. You know, I don't get to see her as often. You know, life is super busy, and there's just a lot going on. So we go into there, and I wasn't planning to do a TikTok. Can I just say that? Like, I was not planning to do a TikTok because I have to look a certain way. I have to, things you got to do when you're vain. And so, man, this was the funniest TikTok I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You want to go watch it. You can go watch it on Spirit Essence by Tara Diana on the TikTok. The point of it is that in the middle of all this taste testing that I suddenly decided we were going to do, I had this massive coughing fit, and we had to pause it, and she had to like give me the Heimlich maneuver. I was literally like choking on this. But here's the point of telling you guys this story. It was so much fun. I mean, I lived through it, thank God, but it was so much fun. And it reminded me of how important it is to make time for
Mm.
people, to make time to be like, it's different because Mike and I, my hubby, we're very good at being in the same house in different rooms and just holding energy, but in different rooms doing very different things. Like we can do that all day, every day. And I don't feel disconnected from him. Right. But, with someone like Mel who works, long hours doing her muggle job and I would do my spiritual work, you know, it was just such a fun moment. And she actually went into it. She didn't question. She didn't like worry about what she looked like. It was Sunday morning. I literally called her up and said, put on some clothes or go in your PJs. I don't give a shit. Let's just go and have, the protein shake and the espresso. Really, we as humans have got to make that time. We've got to reach out to people because, one of the biggest things I learned from the loss of Ryan is that we don't know how much time we have.
Mhm.
We don't know how much time we have. But oh, that was so fun. And literally, do not judge me on that TikTok, people. But that was one of I'm going to use a word that doesn't exist, the funnest TikToks I think I've ever made.
I
Ever. It was so much fun.
That is so much fun. And there is that can't be stated enough. Spending time with the people that lift us up and celebrate us and that we love and they love us, we love them. It's so important to reserve that time in a day because we get so busy in the day-to-day stuff, right?
You know what that reminded me of, though? One of the first things that you and I did when we started to seriously like hang out together and gel was you did the TikTok and this warmed my heart. You did the Muffin Man TikTok with me. That is one of the best. That's right up there with the choking on the Belgian waffle. By the way, Starbucks Canada, you cannot have Belgian waffles and mini pancakes and not have syrup. It is Canada. But that was one of the best TikToks you and I did. And you were just like new to my space. And you were like, okay, I'll do one with you. I'm like the
Well,
Muffin Man. You're like the Muffin Man. I'm like, oh my God, best
Belgian
TikTok.
waffle. It's pretty warm. Take a piece. It doesn't feel like it's super dry though. For me. It doesn't look like it's super. It doesn't look dry.
It looks fluffy. Okay, okay. So here we go.
Okay. We have a
gonna try
piece.
it.
Here we go.
Should we go like this?
Well,
I like it.
it's pretty sweet. Like, and it's not dry.
It was by bar none one of the best TikToks.
and then go have a coffee with someone you love. That's
And
our
try not to choke on a dry Belgian waffle. They were tasty though. Not gonna lie. We gave them like if they had syrup, it would have been astounding. Especially the little mini pancakes. They're like this big. This big. They're little and you get four of them. And if they just had a sprinkling of something,
Yeah.
It would help. Just saying. Still tasty though.
Listen.
Mm. Starbucks, listen.
All right.
You have
So,
something good for us today because I got a chance to glance at it.
yes. Yes.
And I was like, baby, I like this one. Where are we going with it, girl?
Okay. So, this week, we are going to dive into the Phillip experiment. Okay.
Ooh.
Dates back to 1972. And so, what if you could create a ghost through sheer imagination?
I thought you were going to say through sheer panic. It's a ghost. I can do that. Okay, through sheer imagination. I mean, I'm pretty sure, Nan, my boo-boo, there's lots of people out there that think that people do that.
And, we've had episodes where we've talked about like a PK manifestation and different things like that. But
Uh-huh.
in 1972, a group of Toronto researchers, like scientists, attempted exactly that. And what would happen next would change basically our understanding of the paranormal forever. And
Oh,
so, yes.
how come we haven't heard about, how come I haven't heard? Did you hear about this before?
No, but I like to deep dive on all these weird things that pop up. And the more that I talk about this stuff, the more that comes up in my suggested feed. So the more,
Because Big Brother is watching and listening.
that's right. That's right. Since 1972. So,
But oh, never mind. We weren't born then.
right. We're very young. So this is going to be the story of Philip Aikman, the ghost that never existed until he did. Dun,
Okay,
dun,
that sounds cool though.
right? Totally. So, okay, here's the setup. So, 1972, a research team led by Dr. A.R.G. Owen and his wife, Margaret Owen.
ARG. That
I,
sounded very like ARG Owen.
arg, arg, Owen.
Are those his like initials though? Like A and R by Argowen. Okay. Arg.
And Iris Owen, who's the key researcher. I don't know what the relationship
Oh,
is.
okay. Where's Iris and all this?
They all seem family and related. So they are members of the Toronto Society for Physical Research. Physical research. So there's 8 participants in total, and none claimed to have any psychic abilities. They're all well-educated professors. Okay.
Oh, like people with psychic abilities are not well educated. Like, okay.
No, that's just
I know. I'm just teasing.
clinical.
I'm
That's
just teasing.
certainly not the opinion of this radio station. So, all right. The goal was to create a completely fictional ghost through collective imagination.
Okay.
The purpose was to test if paranormal phenomena required an actual deceased person, or it could be made through like the collective thought.
Oh, okay. This is truly interesting. Now I'm a little worried. Maybe I'm not a psychic medium. Maybe I have a really good imagination.
Okay, so this happened in the Toronto Society for the Physical Research, and I keep getting it's PSYCHICAL. Am I saying that right? Physical
You're
Research?
asking me?
Okay,
I'm
well
the one
that
that's uneducated. Let's just go with yes.
okay, we're gonna go with that. For
Yes.
listeners, you can correct me
Spirit
later.
says yes.
So this was over several months of regular sessions. Okay.
Okay.
So group meditation and or concentration on a fictional character. So this is how they created Philip. So
Okay.
with an entire fictional biography. So Philip Aikman, the period that he was from, he was an English aristocrat from the 1600s. His location was Diddington Manor. Okay. The story
Ooh.
elements was he was unhappily married to a very cold wife, and he fell in
Of course
love with
he was.
He fell in love with a gypsy girl named Margot. I don't know why.
Oh, how convenient to Margaret. She's feeling spicy. She needed to be in the story. Okay.
So the wife accused Margot of witchcraft. And so Margot was burned at the stake. And then Philip committed suicide in 1654 at the age of 30. All right.
Okay.
So the development process around this fictional character. The group then created a physical, detailed outline of what his appearance would look like. After they created a comprehensive background story, they drew pictures of Philip and memorized his life details so that it would create an emotional connection to this character.
Wow.
Isn't this crazy? So,
That's a lot.
okay, this is dedicated scientists, I'm telling you. So, the initial sessions started with meditation attempts and they used visual techniques. So, the early sessions produced no result. So, months passed with little activity. And the group was like, okay, maybe we should give up. Maybe we just need to abandon this. Maybe it's a silly project. But then they had a breakthrough.
Okay.
And they changed the methodology of how they were doing things. And they switched to a traditional seance format.
Okay.
Dun-dun. So
Mhm.
all these scientists get around a table, they've dimmed the lights, and they just use the casual connection approach. So they didn't really do like a Ouija board or anything like that. Okay.
Okay.
And then they started talking to Philip directly and incorporating humor and lighthearted attitude and, just really tried to sort of lighten it up a little bit. I'm sure they were probably terrifying themselves sitting it up in a seance. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The table began producing rapping sounds, developing an entire communication system. So, one rap for yes, two raps for no, multiple witnesses present listening, and recording this all on tape.
I love it. Hello. Hello. Are you there? Yes. Yes, I am.
Knock, knock.
Right?
So, the physical phenomenon that started, they started having table movement. They
Ooh.
had the distinct rapping sounds that we talked about. They had table levitation.
So this is all literally what was happening in the 1800s and stuff with the English mediums when they were really into that physical mediumship, because that's what it's called. It's like physical mediumship, except for Philip doesn't exist.
Yes, exactly.
Does he still not exist? Are we still not existing? Go ahead.
Let's see. So there was cold breezes, there was lights flickering, and then the table would chase participants. So items would move without any contact. Here's the thing. So first when I was reading this, I was like, oh my God, it's just probably like Grandpa Henry coming in and messing with them, right? Some spirit. That's the first place as a medium that went to. Okay, you're opening the line of communication, someone's going to come in.
For sure.
But here's the thing, the communication part, Philip started answering historical questions, verifiable information from the era that he was made up from. He showed a distinct personality. He responded to jokes in conversation, and he demonstrated a high level of intelligence and humor.
I got things to say when you'll let me.
Okay. So here's the cool part that they were like, we did not expect this. And it really freaked the scientists out. He provided information that was not in his fictional biography that they made up.
I knew that was coming, baby. I knew that was coming.
Right? So he showed knowledge of historical facts. He had personality traits that the group didn't create. He responded emotionally to certain topics. And then he became super protective of certain group members.
That's
They-
interesting.
I know, right? So apparently Philip's getting attached here. So they have scientific documentation. The sessions were videotaped, the audio recordings were made, multiple witnesses are present, physical phenomena is photographed, and detailed notes are kept.
Well, they
So
should have gone to our last episode and helped out with Krampus there running around.
absolutely. So if
Wrong era, wrong era.
go listen to the Devil's Footprints, if you that's what Tara's talking about. So the scientific significance of this is it completely challenged the understanding of paranormal phenomenon, and it questioned the origin of ghostly manifestations, and it suggested a deeper role in the collective consciousness as well as the power of group focus. So these scientists are literally sitting there with these incredible things of many questions around the nature of reality.
Yeah.
Now they ran there's been a ton of experiments like this run. So they did a Skippy experiment in Toronto. There was one called Sydney experiment in Quebec, and several other attempts worldwide. And so there's been a ton of mixed results. And some with success and some without. So there's definite theories and explanations behind this. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I'm very curious what yours is.
So, as you were talking about this, at first I think that there is a little bit, tiny bit of trepidation when you start talking about something like this, in terms of like, there are a lot of people that say you got an active imagination, Tara. It's the proof in the pudding is what allows me to be an evidential medium. It's the proof when you talk to animals, baby, that, oh my God, that did, or yes, or that's, you know what I mean? So the evidence is important. So I love that this is so evidence-based. And interesting that you said that there have been other times. I mean, literally, they held a seance. Straight up, they finally went and held a seance. And that's when Philip came through. Now, I have some thoughts on this baby, and this is why I feel like they people did other experiments like this, and it wouldn't have worked, because I truly believe that this person existed. So Philip, who they say didn't exist, actually did exist. And one of those people, and I guarantee you there's going to be one of them that was the focus of putting this all together, is a medium,
Yes.
unbeknownst to them, subconsciously, whatever you want to use. And Philip was telling all this message to them, and they think, because they don't know any better, that they are making this shit up.
Yeah.
Right. So they're writing all this down and they're like, this, and this, and we're making this up and all. And then someone adds in something. I bet you anyone that added something in there would have been coincidentally, right, kind of match what the time era was or whatever, or didn't match at all. And no one thought about that because it was no big deal because all this other stuff was happening. He's knocking on windows and he's throwing, I'm sure plasma was about to shoot out of someone's ears. But I truly believe that the main person that was bringing this to fruition, maybe it was Arg or whoever, was likely a medium. And because I believe everyone is a psychic and a medium, then the other two would be able to feed into that energy, right? They would get involved and they'd get excited and they're like, yes, damn Skippy, we are going through. But if you go back to the 1800s, the Fox sisters, all of that stuff, England, United States, well, anywhere that was holding this kind of energy, physical mediumship was a big deal. I have yet to sit in a super powerful seance in my entire life. I've sat in seances where I've been like, but I've never sat in one because physical mediumship's not my forte, right?
Mhm.
I don't have the patience 99% of the time to sit through that. We all know. If you know you me, you know me. But but I truly believe that Philip was actually a real spirit that had lived and that channeled through these individuals, and the group became really immersed in the collective gathering of that energy and started to pick up on things and just put it in. Did you hear what I said right there, baby? They started to pick up on things and they started to add it in, and it was all Philip's flavor.
And I feel that Philip, to add to that theory, became protective of the person who was the medium.
There you go. There you go. Remind me, who did he become protective of?
They didn't indicate who it was.
Okay. But I guarantee you that's it because now this person's telling his story. Now he's got this, he's an open book,
Yeah.
right? And the rest of them are just along for the ride kind of thing. Yeah. No, that is super cool though. But it does bring us back to the conversation, Nan, that a lot of people don't believe in what we do. They just can't believe it. They can believe in God. They can
Mhm.
believe in the hierarchy of the archangels, but they can't believe that spirit exists.
Yeah.
Loved ones on the other side. And that's just phenomenal to me that people are that black and white with it. You can believe in all sorts of stuff, but you can't believe that there are people that can actually communicate with those on the other side, or that those on the other side can come back,
Mhm. Mhm. And
right?
that I absolutely love when you're sitting in front of someone, you're doing a reading for them, and you bring in the tools, and it just backs up every single thing that you've just delivered from spirit to your client, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, this is very interesting to me. Did they talk about any other experiments? Did this particular group of people, Arg and Margaret and Iris, did they do anything more?
I didn't deep dive on that because I figured we'd have enough to talk about with Philip, but it did have an incredible impact on paranormal research. So it influenced how modern ghost investigation methods are done. You and I both have some good friends who have all the cool bells and whistles and
Hmm.
tools. And it's really neat when you go on a ghost investigation, you see that because they bring in the science into it. What you and I are already sitting on the side going, yeah, she's standing right there. Take your tool over there, and
Hey, take your tool over there, please. Or you have to be quiet because you can't be the person that's like, it's there. Oh, well, she led you to it. But again, this is stuff that's been going on for years and years and years. That very, very idea that a group of scientists decided to make this what they did, and
yeah,
that spirit came through. Well,
yeah.
again, sorry, did they say what their thought was about this? Why this worked the way it did? Why they started getting physical mediumship? Did any of them talk about that?
I'm just reading my notes here, and I don't have any sort of personal interviews from them in my notes. I'm sure if we deep dove into it a little bit, maybe we'll make a little point for Monica to see if she can
Monica.
around that. Um, but it definitely brings up, talking points around science versus supernatural, group dynamics, belief versus reality, and basically replications. Like so many people, and they didn't say who
Mhm.
have done these other experiments. I mean, we could certainly deep dive into the names that they gave me, but it's super cool. And I love the fact that spirit wins. I'm just gonna say spirit wins. They come in for the win with the proof. And so
Right?
yeah,
But again, and then it's so hard. You can have that proof, and people will spend eternity trying to tear it to pieces.
yes.
Nope, made up. No, you were standing on the table with a stick. Someone was like hanging back, flashing lights.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll hear it all because they just simply can't accept it because if it's not black and white, it's not black and white.
And maybe that's a whole topic for another episode because I remember watching this one documentary where they took this really powerful psychic medium and unfortunately they kind of drove her to insanity and ended up putting her in an asylum. But that
Oh,
wasn't before they did thousands of tests on her, and she had I forget what it's called, but she would bend spoons with her mind. And it was really cool listening to that. But she was in literally a very controlled scientific experiment where, and I believe they also made her work during the war, kind of as counterintelligence. I have to, but let me deep dive on that for
oh,
another
that
episode.
would be one. Bring that to the table, girlfriend. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Have
But
you
that's
ever sat in physical mediumship?
part of me.
Have you ever sat in physical mediumship or in a big seance?
I've sat with our friend when she does trance and you see physical mediumship in her face change.
Mhm.
I've seen your face change when you do channeling, but I don't think I've actually sat in like the kind where they put the people in the box with the plasma or the the different things like that.
Here's something interesting. We did table tilting. A medium that had visited the States, she's a trance medium, had come back and she loved the table tilting. And again, that's a lot of concentration. It's a lot of, really sitting. And I am the lazy medium. Spirit connects to me easily and effortlessly. So I tend to stay, kind of in my box. And that table tilting, the actual movement of a physical, without, and I was watching the table I was at. There was four of us at a table, and I was supposed to be the head because I had the most experience, with energy, etc. And I didn't even touch the table. I had my fingers at least that much off the table. So I wasn't
Yeah.
touching the table, which is probably why I was tripping over my feet trying to keep up with the table. But I wasn't touching the table. But I was watching everyone else, and their touch was so light. So when that table moved, for me, seeing it was really, really powerful. Not from the place of the table actually moving, but the fact that what was moving it was not the people, because
Mhm.
I've seen lots of stuff. I went to all the way to England to sit in a séance, and such a big deal made out of it. Had to be in the dark, had to have red light, had to have two mediums on it. Now that I believe in. Batteries are great. So two mediums, you couldn't touch anything, couldn't move. You had to sing, you had to chant, you had to drive this to so all the energy. Okay, lots of ritual, lots of things like that. Cool. And then at the end of it, it was just drama. It was just silliness. It was like, someone must have moved because I've been burnt and all this. And I was like, oh, sweet goddess. It was so unauthentic to me. And it was so dramatic. And it was so performative.
Yeah.
But when this trance medium came back and was like, table tilting became her thing. And for a whole season, we were all table tilting all over the place. That was super cool. That to me was physical mediumship at its best. Right?
Yes. And I was there and it was so much fun, but I
And light.
could not get my table to tilt because I was one of the mediums that she put as the head person at the table, and she always had to come and get our table going. And then, but I'm like, oh, your dog is here. Like, I'm like, I'm trying to like I'm trying to not deliver messages from spirit to the people that are at the table. I think my head was just in a different space, but like it was so cool once it started going. I was like, oh,
Physical mediumship is one of those things that the discipline for it is insane. I know people that were sitting in circles in silence, no movement, nothing for 2 hours a night or longer.
wow.
So you are literally like sitting in that space where it's dark. Most of them do it in the dark, and they have, I have a trumpet actually over there for physical mediumship, and from England. And so the trumpet was there, and or whatever they were using, and they would just sit and they would sit and they would gather that energy. The discipline for it is crazy, and you could go a year or more without anything happening. And then
Yeah.
one day you're going to have that epiphany where all of a sudden the physicality of it, the spirit comes through and actually moves it. That's a lot to do with your mentality as well. And people say you might be, your crazy mentality sitting for 2 hours for a year every once a week with a group of people. But again, it goes to the discipline of the work that people are willing to do. Just like just like the educated scientists, we have to do the work ourselves. Nan, this was a wicked one, girlfriend. This was one, yeah, this is a good one.
It was definitely good. Well, thank you, Tara, and everyone listening, and until next time.
Bye.